Hi, and welcome back to the channel. French cinema season, we're in a third part now, and we're on to the 1950s. And the 1950s cinema, I think, in France, was a period where people will start to look back on and say there were a lot of incredible movie makers around this time. A lot of people were at the very top of their game, and a lot of very famous films came out about this time. And when putting this list together, I did feel like, well, nobody needs me to recommend some of those films to them. They're very prominently recommended by many other people and many other channels, etc. And I wanted to do a bit of a deeper dive than that and highlight some titles that maybe I don't see anybody talking about or that fit in with certain themes that have come from previously. Last time we talked about Panique. If you haven't seen Panique, I'll put the link in the description. Which told a story about a female who used her feminine wiles to manipulate or to help frame a man for a crime for another lover. And I thought it would be nice to contrast that with another female-led performance, except this one's much more of a partnership. And this is Jacques Becker's Edward and Caroline. Now, I watched this version, Studio Canal version from the Vintage World Cinema, which is a rather brilliant release, if you don't mind me saying. It's not a film that I've seen anywhere else to talk about, and it tells the story of a couple that are married and that have a very tempestuous relationship. I think it's pretty stereotypical French in that it doesn't take very much to set either off. One, the female, Caroline, comes from a wealthy family. She comes from, wealth and means, but she lives in a small apartment with Edward, who is a musician. He's a piano player, a talented one by all accounts, but that she is with them together, and she's given up some of her, what would be aristocratic lifestyle, to be with him because she loves him. And I think it's quite clear throughout the film that they have a loving relationship. But with this difference in class, with this difference of upbringing and difference in expectations, I think comes friction. It seems to be that Edward thinks that Caroline should be all about him. She's given up her kind of thing. She loses her sense of identity. He should be able to have a bit more of a say in her life, and vice versa. Caroline feels like she should be trying to lead, and she is trying to lead Edward into a better, more affluent lifestyle. So much so that there is a gathering of her father at her father's house, and she gets them to take on Edward to play piano for everybody that's there. There are lots of wealthy, rich, aristocratic families there, and she thinks this would be a great opportunity for him to showcase his brilliance and therefore build up his career and build up his fame. It's just perfect for him. But they don't get there quickly. They fall out with each other constantly, the whole part of it. There are bits where she needs to get to a higher shelf. She's not tall enough, so she borrows some of his books that he has put away and uses it as a stepping stone. He comes in, books on the ground, and falls out with her for saying, "What are these doing on the ground? You using them step on?" She says, No, not me. Not me at all. I didn't do that." And of course, that is what she's been doing. There are scenes where, he can't find his waistcoat. He looks for it everywhere, can't find it. He blames the wife, etc. We've all lived that relationship. And here comes the crux, I think, of the film in general. Because this is very much in the form of a screwball comedy from America around the same time. Maybe 15 years earlier would be a better idea of what it is. And, it definitely has a lot of screwball comedy antics associated with it. It is very clearly in that same mold of film. But what Edward and Caroline and what Jacques Becker does very, very well is painting what is really a true relationship. In the space of this short film, he does the full gamut of the ups and downs of any relationship that there are. People fall out over silly, stupid things. They have arguments over silly, stupid things. Sometimes they fall out with each other because one party's in the wrong and doesn't want to let on to the other character to give headway up to the other one. And sometimes they're just plain wrong. Sometimes one person promises the other party to do something and they don't want to do it. and so it is. You get a very true and natural relationship on the screen here. And the chemistry between the two characters that are there, June Vernon and Daniel Jellin, is very, very clear to see. They've been very well directed and put in a place. And what in some spaces is a very small set, i.e. their apartment, and then the bigger, you know, more grander setting of her father's house. Some of the side characters that you see throughout this film really need to be talked about and explored. The female who's at the party, who basically everybody fawns all over because she's very beautiful, is married, and neither party really seems to care. Maybe it shows the relationship at a further stage past where Edward and Caroline are at this early stage in the relationship. And once they get to the later stage, this is where it will come to. They'll have the comfort with each other, and both parties will be more comfortable in their skin and with each other and with each of their own talents and allures. And then you have this American businessman who takes Edward under his wing, and that relationship, I think, is utterly fantastic as well. So again, ideas of class are very prevalent in a lot of these French films, you know, at these different levels of class that are there and are explored again in some more depth. I think it's a topic and a idea that again is still very relevant today, but was explored very strongly in a lot of these classic French films and done so very well. And like I say, what you get is a very real relationship in front of you, even though it's kind of squashed together into an hour and a half. A film I hardly recommend. Not too many comedies I think that I would get to recommend, but this is one that I definitely do, and one that I found utterly joyous and kind of put a smile on my face from end to end. So if you want something that's a bit different to watch, then that would be perfect, especially after, you know, the very serious nature of Panic, or the very down nature of Panic, or the, like I say, again, the serious nature of Le Grand Illusion. This one lifts it a little bit. So that's the 50s. There are many other films in the 50s that we could have chosen. Stick them down in the comments of other ones from the 50s that you really enjoy, as we stepped into what was the French New Wave at the very end of the decade. And you might expect that in the 60s I would go for the French New Wave, and I'm going to sidestep it a little bit, because again, we have a comedy, we've lifted up, we are still in black and white at this stage, even though I could have went for colour. And we are going to go for the left bank of the French New Wave, and we're going to go for Jacques for our next run through, and a film that I haven't seen, and that's The Umbrellas of Cherbourg. As we go, if we're stepping from black and white to colour, let's go full colour. Let's go absolutely crazy. Let's step with it, and we'll go there, and we'll talk about Umbrellas of Cherbourg next time on my French cinema season. If you've seen Edward and Caroline, please let me know, and we can have a discussion in the comments, because, like I say, don't hear too many people talking about Edward and Caroline, but I can't wait to hear your thoughts. Thanks for watching, take care, and I'll speak to you all soon.